Hello there, funny foreigners. Today we're going to be talking about humor. But first, let's do the business stuff. Subscribes, likes, shares. Make sure you hit those likes because, if you go downstairs to our description stuff, you're going to find a lot of jokes and fooling around, but you're not going to find like affiliates of where you should buy cameras or how you buy our floppy hats or buy us cameras or stuff like that. You can find our Western Toilet Bandcamp, and that'll, if you want to buy a couple of songs or something, but it's not like, that's not putting dinner on our table or anything. So, and you can find that stuff for free elsewhere, here on YouTube, all over the place. So,
money is worthless.
Yeah, in this day and age, that doesn't do us any good. But hit those likes. That's what's getting us out to everyone else. It's hit like, hit dislike, I don't care. Hit some kind of, get active with us, because we feed on your very soul and essence. That's how we live.
Yeah.
So we were talking, a few things have come up with, we're stuck in this spiral of talking about the virus, and everyone is, no matter what podcast or what show you go to, we just, you can't get away from it. And
well, it used to be like, when we were stuck talking about the virus, like since, I would say January 24th, it really came on our radar locally. And then January 25th, we were like, we're sick of talking about it. And at least America was ignoring the situation. So like all our American Western media was a distraction. But now Western media is like, there's no story, there's no meme, there's no nothing that doesn't reference the virus.
Yeah, it's
exhausting.
Yeah, we started our first the Happy New Year, the Happy Chinese New Year was our first one talking about it, and then we went straight into making jokes about it.
Yeah.
Our real first COVID.
Yeah. Which we got some pushback for.
Yeah,
and,
if you go back
it's fair if you think that's a tasteless joke, but it is. The joke was we pretended it was the apocalypse.
You can go back and see how many dislikes we have on that one.
and it's fair if that's not your type of humor, but it is like, that's how we process events, is by making fun of it.
I remember for 9/11, like a couple days before 9/11, there was the Spider-Man trailer for the first Tobey Maguire movie to come out. And the trailer for it was super exciting. The first Spider-Man, so excited for it. And there's a bank robbers, and then Spider-Man swoops in, stops them, and it pans out at the end with the Twin Towers and a big spider web with a helicopter stuck in it. Like, oh, fucking cool, man. Day or two later, 9/11 happens, and we're all sitting around the office, like an hour away from ground zero, and we're all watching, like, everyone's gathered around all, like, the one or two computers that are working, and we're just like, oh my God. And I just blurted out, like, this Spider-Man movie is going to be so freaking awesome. The entire office turned to me, and I was just like, inappropriate, right? I didn't say it deliberately to be a jerk. It's just the first thing that came to my mind. Like, yeah, it's how a lot of people deal with upsetting events, and it's been noted Dr. F and Jimmy Law have mentioned that, like, in our last few, you've apologized that, like, this one isn't funny, and we're not even necessarily trying to make comedy.
I'm just afraid of my feelings.
We're not. We are funny, but it's not like we're trying to make only funny videos for you. We're just trying to have a good time, and it's impossible to do in this situation. And so a lot of the things that we say are going to be funny, and there's not really any reason to apologize. You're apologizing only in the sense of just like, I don't want to make you feel bad, or I did, or I wish to make you feel good, and I didn't. Or
well, no, the thing is, like, I have two extremes, I feel, where either inappropriately making fun of something or just getting stridently self-righteous. So if it's not funny, I worry that I'm wading into self-righteousness territory. I know I have multitudes, but that's like the scale I work on, and so that's, and the secret desire to be a stand-up comedian without doing comedy or going to
actually
clubs.
Standing up.
Yeah.
Sit-down comedy. Yeah. Ta-da! Well, but there's, even in the bigger scope of, like, just moving here, like, we have Nathan Rich, one of the big China vloggers out there, just yesterday was posting, and he takes a lot of crap because he's pro-China and whatever. That's not my point is, but he started off his vlog with like, I didn't realize that it was going to be so divided when I started vlogging that I was going to be attacked for just saying that I like China. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know anything much about the guy. I watched a few of his videos.
Yeah.
But he pointed that out yesterday that like, and when we moved here like 8 years ago, we didn't really think that we didn't know much about China, but we didn't think we were jumping into some kind of hotbed of like, you're either this or you're that.
Right.
Like,
the statement, I like China, carries way more meaning than you would intend it to.
or I dislike China.
Yeah, because it is like I don't know. You can exist in the world without declaring pro or anti definitively about everything.
You can like vampires or werewolves. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
not in the house.
Not in the house.
Werewolves.
But we've constantly found, not just from doing YouTube, but like the entire time that we've been here, the divisiveness between are you this one, are you that one, like we're just actually living here, and there's something in a lot.
Or like even expressing dissatisfaction on any side can lead to the comment like, well, just go home then.
Right.
Like, am I supposed to be either enjoying every situation or leaving?
Yeah.
I don't understand
don't
that
know.
attitude.
Yeah. That's a big thing with the China vlog world. Are you pro or anti-China? And like, I live here. I'm pro and anti almost everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand like why you would have one side or another.
I'm existential about it.
And
China exists, and so do I, and so do good times, and so do bad times.
There's an academic side from a lot of foreigners that come here, I think, that, most of the discussion about China is not fun. There's no humor, there's no charisma, there's no fun pizzazz in this. Like, there's maybe people like peterjsikoski or David Mosier or that I think have a dry wit to when they're talking about China or anything for that matter. But it doesn't really come across when you see them on talk shows or read interviews with them, like whoever they're talking to, as they're met with this like, tell me the facts and figures of like how many people are against and for.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
there's no nuance, which leaves no room for humor.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating to be in a situation of why aren't things funnier here? And like you could say like, pain and strife,
but Chinese people are funny.
Yeah,
they're having a good time.
A lot of people will say.
Not all Chinese people are having a good time.
All Chinese people are having a great time.
Like, we know.
Well, we're having a better time over here in China than we are back home in New York.
That's true. Well, that's something that struck me about the situation the other day when we had that skirmish of getting into jazz rehearsal, of like, there was not like everyone besides us, all seven or eight people involved besides us, we're all Chinese nationals and Luzhou people. There was not like, no one responded in a way that I said, oh, that's the Chinese response. They all like responded as individuals, and that's I think a frustrating part of the China conversation sometimes is that it first of all conflates the government and the people, or aggregates the people into this faceless mass of characteristics, which is like, just like, if I'm not a real American, then what am I? Like, I don't know people who are like that, or I know some people who do that thing, but I don't recognize these stereotypes in the life I live.
I would say, most of my friends that I've actively searched out, looked for to become friends with in my entire life, have been outsiders of some kind. And as far out as they've been, I can't actually think of one that is an anti-American. But they complain about America all the time.
Yeah.
And most of them are artists and musicians.
Oh, your American friends.
Yeah. Our artists and musicians and people that do live on the fringe and create work that is, even like mainstream stuff. Like, we're seeing this as an explosion right now where everyone is questioning whatever their authority, whatever their government, whatever has told them that this is the way that they're supposed to be, and if you're not, then you're against us, or you're anti, or you're pro.
Yeah.
And it gets us nowhere except for into riots and fights.
Well, and that's where I think humor is like fun to diffuse the situation, but also like just the absurdity of dividing everything into pro and anti. Like, how can you not laugh at that? How can you be conscious of what's happening around you and not find it like disastrously funny?
Right. Yeah.
And, I'll make room for the fact that that's like a dark way to live your life.
It's a dark humor, but I mean, I can't laugh at cats all day long. I've got no problems with like.
I wouldn't laugh at a cat. They'll remember.
Well, you'd laugh at a cat if it fell over. I'm sure you've laughed at a cat meme at some point in your life.
I don't laugh at cat memes.
A cat got stuck in something.
I do not celebrate Catter Day. Cute animals on the internet are the last.
But we watch babies. We watch all your babies every night, and we laugh at them. And
cute humans.
Cute humans are okay, but the hijinks that they get up to every night in their lessons that they send you, that their parents send you, are. I mean, it's just it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
To have nice humor. Yeah. But the sophistication isn't really there
okay, I'll give you that.
Of a good high joke.
I'm very against animal memes, but I do watch babies and laugh at them.
I'm watching babies all the time. The sophistication of having a dark sense of humor puts you at a danger of upsetting people. And I mean, you have to make that decision. Comedians make this decision all the time. That's why it's been whatever the last 10 years that so many people, so many professional comedians are upset about the PC world of like, what can I say and what can I say? And like, well, first of all, start off by being fucking funny. It's one thing. Like, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Anything could be funny. Yeah. But so many people aren't funny. Like when we're talking like coronavirus stuff, like, I mean, instantly, I think that one of the first things we went to, like on day one, was make a Corona joke, and then we went, nah, let's not do that. Yeah. In our first video, like let's not that too easy. Too easy. And people are still telling them on a daily basis. My Facebook is filled with Corona jokes. The
funnier / sadder thing is that the people are not buying Corona beer. I'd rather hear Corona jokes than like.
Yeah, it just it descended down into
than that level of idiocy.
Right, and the fact that China's been dealing with this for months, we've already lived through it, and
there's no Corona beer shortage here.
Yeah, was a dinner
or
the other night.
Maybe
there is. But all these jokes have been made for months and months now, and to see America going through all the same cycle of what you're psychologically going to go through of like laughter, I don't know what the whole psychological stages are, but like pity and
grief,
strife and grief
anger.
and blah blah blah, hunger,
depression, writing a masterpiece.
Yeah, the humor is going to come back secular until. I mean, we've seen the cycle of jokes happen like 4 or 5 times since New Year's, and it's really tough to like watch people enjoying that joke for the first time because it's just like, oh my god, get with it, come on.
Well, this is my greater
get the virus earlier.
My greater theory of humor on the internet is that we just rapidly changed how the world communicates with each other, and so like you do have a class of jokes. Dad jokes or even just like lighter jokes that would be like funny enough if you tossed off as a comment to your friend and they'll laugh, versus like if you toss that off to Twitter and you're like the millionth person who's made that observation, like the joke can't support that weight, the weight of all those eyes of your million Twitter followers. I mean, I don't have a million Twitter followers, but like so that are or like phrases like I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Like the first time I heard that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it was like hilarious and like so evocative of a feeling. Yeah. And then like it got used to death because that's what the internet does, is reproduce information. And so we're in a place where like humor has a new standard of you can just toss off all the Corona jokes you want.
Yeah. And yeah,
I'm better than that. I don't begrudge anybody else. And to be honest, I'm not better than that. I probably privately to you made some Corona jokes.
Right, and you're not. I mean, not everyone's a comedian, and so sometimes you are just repeating the jokes that you've heard. Because I mean, with that Willie Nelson joke of like, what's the worst thing of sleeping with Willie Nelson is finding out it's Willie Nelson or whatever that
finding
joke.
out it's not Willie.
It's not Willie Nelson. That just happened like a couple weeks ago, and like it was on every single show.
Yeah,
podcast.
we saw it like 4 times in 1 week in different TV shows and podcasts.
When this stuff happens, I mean, I grew up with people saying. Just as a knee jerk to some kind of remember, like back in the day, back in Nam, like was something like us 13-year-olds would say, not even like thinking about like we had dads that were in Korea and Nam that were like, you just say that because it was a funny thing of like back in Nam, last week when the teacher was handing out homework back in Nam, like we didn't even know what that means, but it's people are still using it today. It's not funny. It was barely even funny to begin with. But like, I mean, memes themselves, jokes are memes are jokes. And
there's the classic, like, defense of musical plagiarism is there's only so many notes and so many combinations of notes.
Right. We all just write
but
G,
there's
C,
new,
D, G, C,
there's
D,
new
G,
songs.
C, D. Right.
There's new ideas.
Right. And I mean, I'm more offended by just bad, unoriginal jokes than an actual bad joke. Oftentimes, like it's just the groan is more upsetting to me than actually being.
But telling the groaner to evoke an annoyed reaction, then is funny again.
If you can bring it back to, I mean, there's no deliberately saying things to hurt people. If you're like telling a racist joke to be racist, to make somebody actually feel like lesser of a person. Then I mean that's out the window. But making jokes, this is what's so tough about like what we're talking about here with the virus of like where is that line? What is? Because I don't want to make anyone feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm very upset. As not nearly as much as anyone, as far as I know, I haven't lost anyone I love to the virus, but I know lots of people are. And, I mean, if anything. You want to, like, if humor can help anybody, but, I mean, where do you push those lines? It's hard to even, like, really tell.
Yeah.
That's, what do I have to know, like, to not be, because you're upset too, and you're trying to figure out what to say, so it's confusing as to, like, how far do you push things?
Right, because we are in the unexpected position that our city, Luzhou, had 24 active cases cumulatively, and we've stayed solid at 0. Here's hoping that continues for weeks. Whereas like Suffolk County in New York, where I grew up, already they have more cases of a population of 1.4 million. I just looked this up. There's 1.4 million in Suffolk. They have more cases there than we had here in our 4 million population city. And like we never expected it to be like, you'll get through it like nothing happened, and then like your hometown will be in disarray.
It's so weird for like us to spend weeks, months here afraid, like every time an ambulance goes by our empty streets back then and not actually really have anything other than just inconvenience and fear. And then to now be on whatever social media, Facebook or whatever, and seeing my old neighborhood with like caskets. I mean, this.
Well, and that's where I get angry about it, is that like we in America do not have enough protective gear for our healthcare workers, and like if you kill off your healthcare workers, you're screwed. Whereas like it wasn't short. The shortages were an issue everywhere, but like it seems to be like a worse issue in America than it was here in China, and that just like that boils my blood. It shouldn't be that way.
Right.
But then to process it, make Well, I'm not gonna make a joke about that.
I mean, there's a line.
Sad.
There isn't a joke for that.
There's not a joke, or if there is,
right.
Don't leave it in the comments, but maybe privately tell it to me.
Yeah.
Because there is also, I accept the need for code switching and the need for like your private in-group black humor that is maybe not appropriate for the full audience.
Right.
Again, not secret racist jokes, but
Well, that's why everything gets so confusing in being here in China and not being able to just have a conversation with people without fearing that you're going to be too much one thing or too much another. And then to be on YouTube and like, I mean, of course, every time I open like YouTube, I'm like, all right. Every time I open up Facebook, I'm okay. Someone's gonna say something shitty.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when before this, like if we were whatever, if it's we would talk about Star Wars or movies or something like that, like say all you terrible things you want to me about Star Wars or whatever. But when we start talking about like actual human beings, Chinese people, American people, French people, Italian people with diseases, people that are healthy, like when you're actually talking about stuff like that, it's really frightening to keep talking about this stuff. I mean, there's so much about like when you apologize for like, sorry if this wasn't funny, we set out to actually try to make ourselves feel better by making these things.
Well, that's the thing is we spent like 2 years dragging our feet on just doing a straight up vlog because I didn't want the intrusion into my personal life because I'm a private person. So it helped me to find like what motivated me to vlog is like you and I can sit around goofing for like 20 minutes and like that's the part of it that I like is fulfilling to me. And if we make other people and if we entertain other people or if we share information, but that's where it was like I don't want to just like give a diary of my day because I don't want people to have that information, even though this new way I've revealed like way too much about myself that you could probably successfully steal my identity if you were really motivated. But that especially because there's this accusation of like, what do you want, attention? Like that's a terrible, vile thing to want, especially if you're a woman. And I don't want attention, but I do want to make Peter specifically laugh and myself laugh because I'm also very self-absorbed. I'm number one.
Right. Well, what we are doing is we're trying to. This is what we would do normally. We just figured out how to take what little money that we have and buy what little equipment that we could and put it all together and just have this discussion because we wanted to figure out how all this would work.
Yeah. And
then how do we comfortably do what we normally do and just share it with other people because we're trying to have our good time, but then we also are trying to find other people with this same discussion. People that aren't sitting around with numbers asking like how many people died with this or how many Chinese people does it take to make an American feel bad or whatever the hell it is that like you think from your academic stance of like it takes this amount of money for our economy to shift bitcoins in whatever corner. Like I'm not interested in any of that. I'm an artist and I'm a human and I want to talk to people and have jokes and make things and create things. And the internet is huge, but that stuff gets pushed down by all the other people that that have these voices that have taken over the descriptions, that have defined what it is to talk about China or even now the virus. There's a way to, you do it this way or else you're not being an adult, you're not being serious.
Right. Well, that's frustrating that like if you're humorless and have a bunch of boring facts that discussion gets to be more important.
Right. Because
at the risk of overanalyzing everything, I do think like humans psychologically just don't respond to facts. If you read me a list of facts, I'm going to tune out. But I think that's everybody. It's not because I'm unserious. It's just because it's too hard to wrap your head around that. Yeah. But so the way that we get each other to understand each other is by crafting a narrative. And, if you're ethical, it's a narrative based in fact, and it's a narrative based in what you believe. And to go further than that, I think if you're if you're any good at storytelling, you add some humor in there, because that's how people connect. And I also think the act of telling a joke involves like critical analysis of the situation you're looking at. So that's my whole life I've been against the idea that funny is unserious, even though like if you're just going by dictionary definition, funny is unserious and serious is unfunny. But
But all of our philosophers,
unimportant, I guess.
All of our philosophers have been hilarious. I mean, all the way down to our comedians like George Carlin or somebody that can take the absurdity of life and wrap it into a package that we can all recognize and appreciate and relate to.
Yeah.
And I can't relate to how many dead bodies are out there. I can just be in abject fear and sadness.
Because we also know, like, psychologically, like 2 dead bodies is horrifying, and then 2,000 dead bodies is you can't even look at it.
Right.
Like, your brain doesn't let you let that in in a meaningful way.
Who's lying about how many bodies are where? Is it 5 or 50? It doesn't fucking matter to me. One is too many. Da-da. That's it. So what? Like,
right, but so you can't let you can't go around weeping all day every day, but you can't let yourself be dispassionate about the things that are happening to other humans in our world. So that's our earnest mission. It really is to like spread the idea of common humanity, by 2 white people.
We try to be as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, to these 2 white people. But no, that is important to us, to see a world where like we just stop being like so shitty to one another.
Yeah, and funny. Let's try to be funny.
And let's be funny.
I mean, that's what we're really trying to bring with these podcasts, with our music that we put out, with our vlogs that we put out. We're using our art to try to do things to hopefully make people feel better. And sometimes they're not going to make you feel better. They're going to make you feel worse. Sometimes they might just make you mad because you don't like us. Maybe you don't like my hair. I don't really care, but it makes me laugh. So
it's like, doing a good like ocean
I got a
wave.
good ocean swoop.
Yeah.
So be funnier, and
eat noodles to you.